Hello, boys and girls, and happy holidays. Greg here from the Scary Spirits podcast to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Bad Santa, and it is the featured cocktail in today's episode. We're going to start with our shaker with no ice. To that, we're going to add 2 ounces, recipe calls for 2 ounces of sugar cookie vodka. My local store did not have that, so I got cake vodka. Still tastes delicious. 2 ounces sugar cookie vodka, or whatever you have. Cake vodka, vanilla vodka, whatever. 2 ounces. And we're going to add light creme de cacao, 1 1/2 ounces. Next, Bailey's Irish cream, 1 ounce. Finally, 3 ounces of cream. 3 ounces. A lot of cream. It's all good. And then we shake. With no ice. We take our glass with ice. Directions say to rim the glass with sugar. No, I can't do that. Pour our drink into our glass. Look at that, boys and girls. It's almost like I planned it. And then we enjoy, of course. I do like these wintertime cocktails. Delicious. The Bad Santa. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
Caroline Munro starred in a few Hammer films, and apparently she wanted to use her newfound fame to pivot in a new direction, as a pop star. And we get to witness that attempted transformation in this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, Don't Open Till Christmas. As you watch this very disjointed movie, you can almost hear her agent. Sure, she'll do the project, but she's going to need a full musical number billed as herself. She gets just what she asked for, and it's quite the 80s spectacle. I don't think pop stardom was her destiny, but good for her. Always chase your dreams, even when way too much glitter is involved. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Happy holidays, everyone. I'm Greg.
Hey, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different yet highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm feeling festive. How are you, Greg?
I'm okay. Thanks for asking.
Why are you only okay? You want to let down?
Well, we're after Christmas now, and,
You're not looking forward to the Epiphany?
I don't know what that is, Karen. So, no, I am not looking forward
When the
to
Magi
the
have
Epiphany.
made their way to the manger.
Are those the three quote-unquote wise men?
Yes, bearing
Okay.
gifts.
Frankincense and myrrh and gold and whatever.
Sounds
Something like
about
that.
right.
And maybe a little drummer boy there, just, to provide ambiance.
Yes. Just what Mary needs. Crying baby. Little drummer boy makes his way over.
Well, duh. All right, Karen, I believe this film, was it my choice? Was it?
It was your choice. What film did you pick for us?
Film I have chosen is from 1984. It's called Don't Open Till Christmas, Karen.
And why did you pick this masterpiece?
Because it's got Caroline Munro in it, Karen, and it got Christmas in it.
Well, what could possibly go wrong with that?
Right. Caroline Munro and Christmas. This has got to be good.
And Caroline Munro is a hammer glamour girl.
I guess you could say that, but she's much, much more than that, Karen.
But she's in the book.
She is. She's been in she was in a couple Hammer films, but she's also a Bond girl, and I believe The Spy Who Loved Me, and many other things, including this film, which she stars as herself, Karen. So she must be important. She's a starring role as herself.
Well, I guess that is something she should be proud of.
I'm sure she is.
Are you?
Yeah, maybe. She doesn't do many shows over here across the pond, but she does quite a lot over in England. So I'll probably never get the chance to ask her about how she felt about this film.
Well, she does fine in it.
Yeah, she might be the best fucking actress in it, actually, because she's playing herself. That's pretty easy.
You have a drink to go with this movie,
I do,
Greg?
Karen.
And what would that be?
It's called The Bad Santa.
That doesn't really go, Greg.
Karen, there are plenty of Santas in this film.
But they're not bad Santas. They're just
well, how do you know,
Santas.
Karen?
Well, that's true.
You don't know?
It's a
It
stretch.
could be bad. I'll bet they are bad. I'm just saying.
Oh, they deserve to die. Okay.
They might. They suck as Santas, I'll say that.
Yeah, they're all drunk. Every Santa is almost.
So they're pretty much bad Santas. Is that what you're saying, Karen?
I guess I'll accept it.
Would you like to know how to make this cocktail, Karen?
Of course.
So we're going to need 2 ounces of sugar cookie vodka. Did you have sugar cookie vodka, Karen?
No, I used vanilla.
I used cake flavored vodka, Karen, and it is delicious.
I bet it is.
1.5 ounces of light creme de cacao, 1 ounce of Bailey's Irish cream, and 3 ounces of cream. This is a very creamy cocktail, Karen.
Yes. Yes, it is.
In a martini shaker, not filled with ice, Karen, we're going to combine all our ingredients and give a shake. Then we're going to rim a glass, it says, with sugar, but I can't do that because
You're not allowed.
I'm not allowed. And add ice. And then we pour the cocktail over ice and serve. And this cocktail is from whoneedsacape.com, which I like that. That's a good website.
You like the name or you like the actual
Yeah, I like
website?
the name.
Oh,
Who Needs a Cape? And Karen, I should tell you that I tried each of the ingredients individually as a shot, so I will know how they mix and blend into the cocktail so I can give my evaluation properly at the end.
an informed evaluation. I like it.
The things I do for you people. Should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own, Karen?
Absolutely.
Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis of this film for us?
I do.
I would love to hear it if you do. Go on. Tell us all the story.
A Scotland Yard inspector hunts a murderer who hunts down men dressed as Santa and kills them in different violent fashions. Only a suspicious reporter seems to offer the inspector any promising leads.
Thank you, Karen, for that brief and mostly accurate synopsis.
Sort of accurate.
All right, Karen. Well, how was your Christmas? I should ask. How was your Christmas?
It was lovely as always. How was yours?
I'm sure it was. Oh, it was delightful. I am sure.
I pulled off yet another wonderful Christmas.
Yeah, we usually have a couple Christmases. And of course, my favorites are when my kids come over to our house and I can just be myself.
Just like Caroline Munro.
Yes. I see what you did there, Karen.
Keep up.
All right. Awesome. I'm glad you had a great Christmas. All right, Karen, anything you really enjoyed or pleasantly surprised by in this film? Tell us everything you really liked about this film from 1984. Do you remember 1984, Karen?
I do.
I do too. It was a good year. It was a good year for you.
I'm sure it was.
All right. Tell us everything you enjoyed.
Well, having remembered 1984, was kind of fun to see the fashion. It was very 1984. The haircuts and the makeup and the clothes they were wearing. I'm going to say there was some nice shadow work in spots. But other than that, I don't know. I didn't really find anything I really liked about it. What about you? Besides Caroline Munro, is there anything else you liked about it?
Kate. I liked Kate.
She was a decent actress.
She was, and she was very 1984 too. Karen.
Yes, she was the epitome.
Took me back to the day.
Nostalgia.
Nice makeup, nice hair.
Her boyfriend had the
Flipped
ultimate.
It too. Yeah, he had nice
good
hair too.
And he had a good mullet going. And
it wasn't quite a mullet, but
yes, it was.
It wasn't a mullet. I don't think it was a mullet. It was nicely feathered though.
Shorter in the front, longer in the back. He had that long stuff in the back.
It wasn't, Karen. In 1984, my hair was past my shoulders.
Well, he didn't have quite that long.
He did not have that. That was not a proper mullet.
He had good hair, though.
He did. It was good hair.
So we'll say the hairstylists were really good on this movie.
Hair and makeup was really good, I would say, so far. We should say where we watched this first. So did you watch this on YouTube like I did, Karen?
I did, and I had a lot of ads.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
I had 0 ads.
And I looked all over and I couldn't find an adless one.
I did, unfortunately. So maybe you had a better version than I did, actually. Because I could tell when they cut shit out.
Oh, mine jumped a little bit
cuts.
once in a while. There were cuts in mine too. Yeah.
Right when they get to good stuff, I thought, Karen, they were cutting.
Oh, I didn't notice that. There were jumps in mine. I said, I think my movie's jumping.
Notice?
Well, it didn't happen all the time just when it was a good stuff. It happened where it would, you could tell it was cut or something. I don't know.
All right, we'll see. We'll see where the cuts happened. Because I felt something was coming, but then it cut.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't mark anything, so you'll have to tell me.
I didn't either, but I'll remember. So shadow work and hair and makeup, and that's all you got?
Nostalgia. I'll give them nostalgia.
I agree for the most part.
I mean, I guess if you wanted to stretch it, there were a variety of kills. There wasn't one singular way that it was done. So I guess you could say that was a good thing. I
can't remember any of them. So they all seem the same to me now that I'm thinking about them.
No, they're all very different.
Okay,
are they? Yeah. Well, not very different, but different.
Caroline Munro sang a song.
Oh, is that who she was? Okay.
Yes.
It was a long song too.
Yeah, this is not her greatest moment, I will say, in film. So
I thought she was the blonde model. That's why I got confused.
Oh, no. She's much beyond that, Karen. You didn't hear him say Caroline Munro when they introduced her? And
yeah, now that you say that, yes.
And her glitter little mini skirt.
Yes, her red glitter outfit.
Sang and danced and yeah.
had her 80s hair with glitter in it. Yeah, like now that you say that, yes.
She has done better. In the film we've done, she was better.
The guy that's the vampire hunter, was that her?
Yeah. That's her. Yeah.
Captain.
Yes, Captain Kronos, the vampire hunter.
Yes.
She's much better in that film. And we'll get to her Dracula film with Christopher Lee, I am sure, Karen, because she was in a film with Christopher Lee as well. Okay, anything you really didn't enjoy? Because I pretty much agree with you. I got nothing for what I like. So go on.
It's a weird critique, but I found it boring. It was
I wasn't looking at my, well, I did time check once, I think, but
I time checked, but it was kind of weird. It's like, this is going to sound stupid, but when you read a book and there's like sex scenes in it, so you kind of go through everything and you try to find the sex scenes or the good parts or whatever. Well, it was that way with this movie. With like there's just fluff in the middle, and then somebody dies, and then there's a little bit more, and somebody dies, and there's a little bit more, and somebody. It's just, it didn't have any cohesiveness. We had no idea. I mean, obviously there are Santas around everywhere, so it wasn't like there needed to be any type of plan or plot or anything like that. But it was just, oh, here's a drunk Santa in an alley. Okay, he's going to die. Here comes another drunk guy out of a bar. Obviously, he's going to die. There was no, I mean, I guess I could say there was a surprise death that I didn't expect. So I guess that could be kind of good. But yeah, like the acting wasn't great. They did try to lead you down different paths, but it was pretty obvious, I thought, who the killer was. They tried to make you think it was someone else, but you knew it wasn't. Just from what you saw of the killer. He was agile. He was, they showed you his eyeballs. I don't know what else to say.
Were they beautiful brown eyes, Karen? Like mine?
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It had a story, but it didn't. I don't know how to explain it, but I was not really, it wasn't horrible to watch. It kept moving. It didn't necessarily drag, but I did find it kind of boring. And the gore wasn't good. The kills were different, as I mentioned, but the blood was like hammer blood. It was terrible,
English blood, Karen.
Maybe. What about you? Did you not like anything about it?
I mostly agree with you, except I didn't know who the killer was.
Well, there's only so many options. The cast isn't huge.
Well, they can always bring in someone they haven't even shown you yet.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
I felt like it was a good story, but once they started filming, they kind of winged it. Someone said, "Hey, how about we do that?" Yeah, let's do that.
And you come up with a kill, and you come up with a kill, and you come up with a kill.
I didn't think there was near as many different kills than you did, but
no sequel potential. Well, maybe there is. I don't know. I can't tell at the end.
I don't either. I can't remember how it ended, actually. So apparently, boys and girls, this film is very forgettable.
Yeah, there's nothing memorable about it.
I remember who the killer is. I remember a few of the kills. I remember Kate and Cliff, the cops.
But there's just no, like Kate's, I mean, I doubt many people are really going to purchase it or watch it on YouTube. You might. It's fine.
But I feel like it.
But Kate,
it's edited on YouTube. I'm sure. I know it is, because
she's supposed to be this rich woman. She's out there with Cliff, who plays the flute, and she's holding the hat. Her dad has passed away. They make it sound like he was mega rich. She gets all the money, and they're standing out there.
True. I hadn't thought about that.
It was just like, this is silly. What? Trying to prove she doesn't need the money, or she wants Cliff to make his own. I don't know. It was just weird. And he's playing the flute like nobody's business. And it's just like, okay, what an odd sequence to make him a flautist, like, okay.
It is true. I hadn't thought about that. I did read that she was supposed to be from wealthier, like her father was wealthy, right?
That's what they say, and that's why they suspect him in the Cliff in the first place, because he comes from nothing. So of course you're suspect. It's just disjointed and not memorable, as you said. We've definitely seen better.
Would you like to hear a review of the time, Karen?
What's in Critics Corner?
The review I have is from 2011, which is when the DVD was released. Because I couldn't find anything from 1984, Karen, because that's ancient and before the internet, so there's nothing out there. The review I have is from the AV Club, written by Noel Murray. And I'll read it all. It's 2 paragraphs. My father's just been murdered. I can't concentrate. That's an actual line from Don't Open Till Christmas, a 1984 British slasher film that combines the polite reserve of the BBC drawing room mystery with the creative impalings of American exploitation. While the London tabloids gush that there's only 3 more killing days till Christmas, the city is being terrorized by a maniac who's slaughtering men in Santa suits. Scotland Yard is perplexed. The chief inspector, played by the movie's director, Edmund Purdom, can't find any clear pattern to the crimes beyond the fuzzy red suits worn by all the victims. Meanwhile, he's being driven to distraction by a scandalized public and creepy reporter, Alan Lake. And then there's the stripper who gets involved with the case when she witnesses a pervy Santa being gutted on the other side of her peep show glass. And the woman from way back at the start of the paragraph who's frazzled because her dad got speared through the back of the head while he was in the middle of playing Santa at an office Christmas party. Don't Open Till Christmas seems to introduce new characters roughly every 10 minutes, none of whom assert themselves as the movie's actual hero. The Don't Open Till Christmas DVD liner notes mention that veteran B movie actor Purdom only agreed to star in the movie if he could also direct it, but he proved so inept that he was fired and was replaced by another director who was also fired. That may explain why Don't Open feels like 3 incomplete movies happening simultaneously, all yoked together by the occasional Santa side. Plus, inexplicably, a full musical number by horror queen turned dance pop diva Caroline Munro. Even new victims and new witnesses keep adding digressions for new directors to follow. The killer is revealed to the audience about 2/3 of the way through the film, but even that fails to drive the plot any closer to a conclusion. Instead, there's more killing and more hair bumming by the authorities and the citizenry alike. Are you any nearer to solving these dreadful Santa Claus crimes? Someone politely asks at one point. It's a question that remains damnably unanswered, even now. And Karen, it has a 4.7 out of 10 approval rating on IMDb, a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think of those Google users, Karen? What kind of approval rating do you think they gave this film? So 66. You got 4.7 and 14. So what 66. Do you think Google says?
66.
85%.
Oh my God. That's ridiculous.
And I feel stupid because apparently I didn't know who the killer was 2/3 of the way through the film.
Even when he revealed himself, you didn't know?
Was that 2/3 of the way through?
I don't know.
Well, I knew who he was when he revealed himself. I remember that.
Did you go, oh?
No, Karen, I didn't. I wasn't even trying to figure it out. I didn't care, which says a lot, probably.
True.
All right, Karen. Anything else you really enjoyed or didn't in this film?
No, I'm going to say this is one, I didn't really like this one at all.
All right. What kind of cocktail rating you want to give this film? I've already written a number down. We'll see if we're a match.
Well, I'd give it a 5. If you want to give it a 4, you can, but.
I wrote down 4, but now that you say it, I'm okay with 5. The more we talk about it, the more I'm convinced it's a 5.
It's just not good. I mean, like you said, I don't think the idea was horrible. I think it's kind of an interesting idea that someone would go around killing Santas. It's different. It's holiday, but it's just too incongruent.
And we do have the here's why moment at the end too, the flashback. So we know why, but which is very similar to other killing Santa movies we've done, I think.
Well, that's usually the person is Santa and is doing killings, right? They're not killing Santas.
No, but last Halloween, last Christmas, Karen, we did a film where a kid saw his father dressed as Santa fucking some other girl and went nuts. And this is just another one.
I guess that's traumatizing.
Okay, I guess.
Well, I think his mother got killed in this one. She got pushed down the stairs.
She did.
So
I don't know if
that
she died,
would be,
but
I think that's probably why he had trauma.
So apparently children cannot stand to see their parents engaged in
relations
outside their family.
Or even with each other. I think that's not good either.
Probably not.
I do have one question, though.
Oh, thank God.
No, if you were reading in the tabloids that Santas were getting picked off in the city, would you go to a bar in a Santa suit and get drunk off your ass?
Not without a gun.
Well, see, I mean, it just, as more and more, as we got to the 5th.
But and across the pond, nobody had the gun. So
if you were the 5th or 6th.
So this would not happen in the United States because everyone's got a gun.
Well, they could still be killed. He didn't approach them and say, I'm going to kill you now. He came from behind. He did all kinds of things. You wouldn't be able to get your gun out if the spear came flying from behind your head and went through your eyeball.
Hey, if you did, that first guy, you got no chance. But
the other, most of them,
someone in the room should probably kill the killer or shoot the killer.
All right, we're not going down this rabbit hole because it's just stupid.
Much like this film. All right, Karen, are you ready
to get into it? I'm just saying, if after the 5th or 6th Santa headline is being killed, I don't see why anyone would be wearing a Santa suit at that point.
What if I went out with my Krampus suit, Karen? Does that count?
Probably.
All right. Are you ready to get into it? Scene by scene, Karen?
Yes, go ahead.
Don't Open Till Christmas from 1984. It's rated R, Karen. I did find that, but I didn't find any warnings because it's on YouTube. Film opens and apparently a skinny Santa I wrote found a girlfriend on the streets.
And someone's watching. A mouth breather is watching.
Yeah, heavy breathing from whoever we are looking through. And the skinny Santa and the girl apparently getting in the backseat of a Volvo wagon.
Yeah, I said they get in their car. Oh, they get in the back seat of the car.
A Volvo wagon.
Plenty of room, I guess.
Don't see one of those every day. Just saying. I wrote lots of 80s synthesized music and the windows get steamy, but I could tell that they made them steamy.
It wasn't authentic steaming.
No, it was not authentic at all. And then a guy tries to get the viewer to go away. So the guy we're looking through
is circling the car.
Yeah, the guy in the car. Yes, the guy in the car says, hey, go away, you creep, or whatever. Right?
Yeah, quit watching us. They're in a dark alley. No one else is around. It's a parking spot, so to speak. And he says, hey, get out of here. And the guy, whoever's outside the car, doesn't leave. So the guy gets out of the car to shoo him away.
But he's not wearing his Santa suit anymore, Karen.
He sort of is. Got the pants on still.
But he's stabbed. He gone, I wrote. And then the girl stabbed. She gone, I wrote. And then we have credits.
Yeah, it's a skinny little hole put in both of them. They, like a knife or something. Yeah,
it wasn't a lot of blood.
No.
Not a lot of blood or gore in this film. And we have credits, like I said, and we cut to a disco party, Karen. You remember all the disco parties we had in 1984?
No, but it's interesting in the credits. I guess I should have said this. They had a wax Santa that melted away as it was burning. As it melted away, it revealed a knife.
Did it?
Yeah, there was a knife stuck out. Okay. Oh my God, this is going to be.
I didn't even notice. You didn't pay attention. I didn't notice. I watched that scene twice, and I didn't notice the knife.
Well, I wasn't reading who directed it and everything. You probably were. I was watching the melting
of course,
Santa.
Karen, of course, I was looking for Caroline Munro's credits.
Yes. So yes, it's a disco party, but everybody's dressed up like in costumes. And I thought, is this the Halloween party? Because there are costumes. People are wearing. There was an Indian. There was, the shrunken head thing. There were costumes at this party.
Maybe that's what they do across the pond, Karen. I don't know.
Guess.
It's a costume party. And we see a man getting dressed up as Santa Claus, but he needs help doing his makeup, apparently.
Too much rouge, not enough eyebrows.
And there was a creepy hooded figure out there in the crowd he's warned about.
Yes, he says, just stay away from the shrunken head guy that is freaking everyone out.
And then Santa Claus gets a spear right through the mouth.
We do find out that Santa is the father of a pretty young girl who's there with her boyfriend, Kate and Cliff. And the MC goes out and introduces their special guest all the way from Greenland on his flying reindeer. And Santa Claus comes out and he says, I have gifts for everyone. And right as he starts, a spear goes right through the back of his head and out his open mouth.
And he gone, and everyone reacts in silence, Karen.
Yes, they just shock.
No one screams, nothing. It's just silence.
They're just staring. Nobody runs to get help.
Nope.
Nobody screams. Nothing. They all just stare at the dead guy on the ground.
Silence. Scotland Yard, Karen. The new Scotland Yard sign spinning, which we see like 5 times during this.
All right, let's talk. I know we've talked about Scotland Yard before, but we're going to do it again. Yeah,
have we talked about the new Scotland Yard?
No. Scotland Yard, officially New Scotland Yard, is the headquarters of the Metropolitan Police, the police force responsible for policing Greater London's 32 boroughs. Its name derives from the location of the original Metropolitan Police headquarters at 4 Whitehall Place, which had its main public entrance on the Westminster Street called Great Scotland Yard. The Scotland Yard entrance became the public entrance, and over time, Scotland Yard came to be used not only as the common name of the headquarters building, but also the name for the Metropolitan Police Service itself and police officers, especially the detectives who serve in it.
Yeah, how's that Jack the Ripper case coming, Scotland Yard?
So that was interesting.
You said it's on Whitehall, right? Now you said Whitehall?
4 Whitehall Place. Yeah. But its public entrance was on the street called Great Scotland Yard.
I'm pretty sure that's where all the Jack the Ripper shit took place, in Whitehall.
Well, I don't know if that's one of the boroughs or if that's just, I don't know. I don't know a lot about
Whitehall. I think it's a borough, but I guess the police in Scotland Yard are reading a newspaper talking about a Santa slaying in Soho. That's what the headline says.
Yeah, so is that the one?
Got any information about Soho, Karen?
No, I wasn't going to do all that. But that, I think, was the one in the Volvo, not the one.
Yes, probably.
But I don't know. I couldn't tell. But
we have Scotland Yard, I wrote, discussing the boy and the girl. I guess Kate and Cliff, they're discussing. And then they interview them.
They call them a boy and a girl, and they're about 30 years old. So they're not
probably.
They keep calling them. They say that the girl has money, the boy doesn't, but they live together. And that's why they're suspicious. There's basically 2 inspectors, Powell and Harris, right?
Harris, yeah. Inspector Harris and Sergeant Powell. And they interview Kate and Cliff. And the next thing I have is another Santa murder. Is there a Santa murder going on while they're interviewing him?
Well, they say he was the victim of the Santa murderer. Now we're in a car listening to the radio as they report the Santa Claus being slain. And we see another Santa smoking. Looks like he's roasting chestnuts.
Santa smoking a Marlboro as someone approaches and strangles him, apparently, and puts his face on a grill.
Yeah. So The first one was a spear through the back of the head.
Yes.
Now we've got like a zip tie face burn.
He gone. Then we see someone driving on a motorcycle
yeah.
delivering a present, question mark, I wrote.
Yes, he's on a motorcycle.
And it says, don't open till Christmas. I guess he's a carrier. And he delivers the present to Inspector Harris.
A courier, yeah. Well, he's not at home, but he is at home, sorry. And his maid answers. And the guy drops off the present and she gives it to him. And she says, are you really going to wait? And he says, yes. And she says, what a shame. And then they talk about the Santa murders. She says she won't be back till Christmas Eve. And the policeman says Christmas is no time to be a policeman, which is probably true.
True.
And she's not coming back till Christmas Eve. And when he leaves, she says to the camera, I hope he shows me some of the gruesome pictures when he comes back or something.
Go back to Scotland Yard. The inspector calls Kate. Apparently there's been another Santa murdered, but she says her father has just been murdered and she can't concentrate.
And the two are talking and they said they wonder if they have a psychopath on their hands. And Powell said it's too early for a pattern. So I, at the risk of being dinged once again, looked up, how many people do you need to murder before you're considered a serial killer?
Go on.
Do you want to guess?
How many people do you need to kill before you're considered a serial killer? I'm going to say 4, Karen.
A serial killer is typically a person who murders 3 or more persons.
Well, 3. That's
3 is the level.
That's a trio. That's not.
With the murders taking place over more than a month and including a significant period of time between them. While most authorities set the threshold of 3 murders, others extend it to 4 or lessen it to 2. Psychological gratification is the usual motive for serial killing, and many serial murders involve sexual contact with the victim. The FBI states the motives of serial killers can include anger, thrill-seeking, financial gain, and attention-seeking, and the killings may be executed as such. The victims may have something in common, for example, demographic profile, appearance, gender, or race. They try to focus on the pattern to give clues to finding the killer. I thought it would be more than 3, but
4. That's why I said 4.
So there is a pattern because there's been at least 3 murders now, but they're not over an extended period of time, which that FBI is a requirement. So I wonder what they call someone who just goes around killing people. They're not, I guess, serial killers.
Serial killer once they reach 4.
No, because it says over an extended period of time. This is over like 2 days. He's killing all these people.
Well, if it's in a day, it's a mass killing.
So what is it if it's 2 days? That's the thing. I don't know. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We appreciate you spending time with us. You know, you can help us grow our audience by following us on social media at Scary Spirits Podcast. Just look for us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And don't forget to tell all your friends to find us too. Now let's get back to the show.
Next I have is the Inspector Harris is curious about Cliff.
We did see Cliff carrying his flute. And he does keep asking Kate to call the lawyer, like he wants some cash or something. So they're kind of making it look like perhaps he's interested in the money.
Then we see Giles from the Daily News, and he calls Sergeant Powell, and he leads him to believe that he may have some information which may be helpful. And Sergeant Powell calls the Daily News to check on Giles. And then we see a Santa shot in the head, Karen.
There's a drunk Santa in the alley laughing to himself, and a gun gets put in his mouth and shot. So spear through the head, zip tie, burn face, gun through the mouth.
So then Giles goes to meet with Kate.
Well, he accosts her in the street.
He asks questions.
Yes, he's interested in her on a personal level. How's she coping?
But she has been told to say nothing. It's an ongoing investigation. She can't say anything to the press, apparently.
She tells him to talk to the police.
Then we see Inspector Harris walking through the streets, going to the subway, the underground, as they call it.
Yeah, they're going to what we would call the subway.
See
Mind the
Kate and
gap.
Cliff. Cliff is playing his flute.
It's so stupid. I don't really understand why any of this happens, but yes, he's playing his flute and Kate's there holding the little hat. Then a guy comes up to them and Cliff knows him and he introduces him to Kate. He's a photographer. She doesn't like him. She thinks he's a creep, but
invites him to a studio though, right?
Yeah. Well, she goes to get a newspaper. The boys go in and get a beer. And then, yes, they're invited back to the studio. And for some reason they go because she didn't like him in the first place, but they went because he says they're invited for tea.
So Kate and Cliff arrive at the photography studio. And I wrote, Cliff tries to get Kate to take pictures, ?
There's a model there that is looking like she's going to end up being a nude model. And then, he tries to get...
This is where things get chopped up so we don't see anything too on YouTube.
And Cliff...
So I'm sure there are some bare breasts there.
That we probably. See. Yeah. And Cliff tells Kate, hey, he had a cancellation. It's a quick 50. And she gets all mad. Again, she's supposed to have this shit ton of money. So she's going to do nude pictures with Cliff for $50. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But of course, the photographer brings out a Santa outfit, which sends Kate over the edge. And she leaves.
And right here, I wrote, I think this video was edited to cut out all of the nudity.
But she leaves in a huff. But Jerry, who is the photographer, convinces Cliff to stay. And he looks at the girl that was modeling when he got there and thought, okay, I'll stay. Because Jerry says, Kate's no good for you tonight. So he stays at the studio.
Yeah, so we see Cliff and the model outside the studio, and they're run away as the police approach.
They're supposed to do some street shots out is what they're doing. And she's going to be basically
very professional.
Her underwear out in this street with the sort of Santa cover up. And they leave and the police look at them and Cliff says they're going to think we're like paying for sex or something. And they try to get back in the studio. And for some unknown reason that we have no idea why, Jerry has locked the door and won't let them back in. I don't really get it. I don't know. So they run because the police are coming.
And then the model in the Santa suit is attacked by a man with a straight razor. But he leaves without hurting her.
And he's wearing one of those clear masks you can put over your face so you can't recognize who you are.
And then we see Inspector Harris at the house of the model, right?
Yeah, the one that was confronted with the razor but didn't get killed.
She lets him in. Inspector Harris and Sergeant Powell question the girl.
And she's in a bathrobe.
And once again, it's very choppy. So I think we don't see everything. And then I wrote Santa going into a peep show. Santa talks to the model.
So before that happens, they're talking to her about the Santa. Did you see his face? And she says, well, he was wearing a mask, but she remembers his eyes. His eyes smiled at me. That's what she says.
Yes.
Which comes back later, which is the only reason I want to say it. Yep. And now we're at the peep show.
So then guy in a Santa costume goes into a peep show. He grabs a phone and talks to the model on the other side of the glass, like the Madonna video. And she says she's a dancer, but her mom owns the place. So she's just filling in.
That's what she says.
She's a professional dancer,
but not really. Because she dances a little. She's not. So
why isn't she?
Anyway, so she dances a little for him and he's like, that's it.
And then Santa is stabbed and there's blood all over the window and he gone.
But they do before he dies, they have some things in common, or at least she pretends to. They both live with their mothers. They both say it's the first time they've ever been in a place like that.
You think she was just saying that?
I hear that's what she might have been doing. And blood goes all over the glass and the girl screams.
Tell me anything, Karen. I'll believe you.
Well, if you're behind glass and half naked, you'll believe her. And then we're back at Cliff's apartment and he's bandaging his hand because he says he was out all night looking for Jerry and punched him and that's why he's hurt. But we might think, oh, he was in a scuffle with the Santa at the peep show.
Yeah, so Kate and Cliff are arguing. Inspector arrives. Inspector wants to know where Cliff was last night.
Yeah, because he knows Kate left in a huff from the studio.
And Cliff begins to realize that he's under suspicion.
Yes. And the inspector and Kate are like getting close or something. I don't know how to describe
they have
it.
A connection.
But he's as old as her dad, so I don't know what's going on there. But
he's the director, Karen.
Oh, I see. Well, there are perks to being the director.
Yeah, so Kate asks the inspector if she can talk to him somewhere privately.
Yes.
And he gives her his private number.
Which he doesn't give to many people. 24/7, she can reach out. She wants to talk to him, not at the police station, though, somewhere more intimate.
Then we have Giles.
Yep.
Giles and Detective Powell.
Giles is rifling through Powell's desk, looking for a light, he says.
He's interrupted by the sergeant. But then Giles starts putting suspicion on Inspector Harris.
Well, he keeps saying to Powell, would you be promoted if you solved this murderous rampage all on your own? Wouldn't that look good for you if you solved it on your own? Don't involve Harris.
He leaves and Sergeant Powell calls down to have some of the boys follow him.
Yeah, and he tells Powell to keep an eye on Harris because he says you might try tailing him. But then Powell says, tail the reporter. And now we've got Harris at some sort of like shopping mall or something, just walking around. He's on his own a lot. I don't know what the deal is. So there's somebody following Harris, which I think is Powell, and he loses him. And then we cut to another drunk Santa coming out of a pub. He gets on his bike and rides erratically. And of course, there's the required London punk kids out there
chasing him.
So They chase him. And he flipped him off. Then they chase him. And for some reason, he just stops riding the bike, puts it down, and starts scaling down a wall, which was ridiculous.
And then a dog chases him away, right?
A German Shepherd dog.
Yes.
So
are we going to have more German Shepherd facts, Karen?
Yes. So the German Shepherd, and it said also known in Britain as an Alsatian, is a German breed of working dog of medium to large size. The breed was developed by Max von Stephanitz using various traditional German herding dogs from 1899. It was bred as a herding dog for sheep. And I think we've done it before, but do you know the intelligence number?
7.
It's 3. 3. They're smarty pants. But he does. There's no. What? Why does he drop the bike? The kids steal the bike and leave him alone, and then he's scaling this wall. I don't know where he is. He's running, trying to open any door, and he can't. It's just odd. But he finds an open door, and then this lady tries to stop him from running in, but her glasses get Velma'd.
Yes, they do.
Somebody steps on him and she can't see. And then he's in like this dungeon.
Well, he's trying to enter the backstage of a theater, ? I wrote. But the girl tries to stop and her glasses fall off and then they get stepped on and she can't see without them. So then we're in the London dungeon. It's a thing. London dungeon.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was real.
It's a tourist
Looks
thing.
like a torture chamber or something.
Yes, the London dungeon. It's like a wax museum kind of thing, right?
But he's the only one in there.
Right.
Maybe she tried to stop him because they were closed or something.
And I wrote scare attraction ? But it's the London dungeon. Yeah, it's a thing. And then Santa is stabbed in the gut.
There's a couple of things. So at first, a man in a black robe is following him. I said, do statue boobs count?
Oh, yeah, there's a statue boob in there.
There's a couple of them.
bloody
He
statue.
gets a
booth.
knife thrown at him that it misses. And I think my movie's jumping a bit here, but he finally gets stabbed a couple of times. And then we go back to Cliff and Kate's.
Yeah. Cliff and Kate arrive home. The Inspector Harris did not show up at the inquest.
Yes.
Cliff accuses Kate of being obsessed with Inspector Harris.
Yes. I'm the one who loves you, not him. Trouble in paradise.
Then we're back to Scotland Yard. And Harris tells Powell that it may well be his last case.
And he hates the commissioner, his boss.
And I wrote, supervisor has already told Sergeant Powell to put decoys in place.
Yeah, he thought that was a stupid idea.
Like undercover Santas or something?
He said, do you know what the commissioner wants us to do? He wants us to put decoys out. That's just, and he acts like it's a stupid idea. And Powell's like, I already did it. So I guess there are supposed to be policemen going out dressed as Santa.
Sounds like a good idea to me. We see undercover Santas giving gifts to children. And we see a couple Santas killed by a man wearing that freaky mask you were talking about.
But see, now there's another way he dies. So he has a knife in his shoe and he kicks the guy in the crotch and then punches him with brass knuckles. And the other one comes out and he gets hit with the knuckles and then he probably dies. So that's two more. Then we see Harris at a flea market.
Do we?
Like he's got time to be at a flea market because Cliff and Kate are there. He's playing his flute and she's holding the hat. So
and Inspector Harris arrives. Yeah.
He does a good job in this one scene of his face lights up when he sees her.
And I wrote they share a moment, he and Kate.
So, I mean, that was out of the whole movie. He actually acted that well.
And then we see the girl from the peep show at Scotland Yard talking to Sergeant Powell. She says that she would recognize the eyes again if she saw them because the man was wearing a mask.
But the eyes sort of smiled at her.
Yes.
Yes. So that's the second time we heard it.
The girl leaves, and although she's supposed to meet Sergeant
Stevens,
she doesn't.
Powell wanted her to have a policeman escort her home and then watch her because she's seen the face of the killer, even though he was wearing that mask.
But she leaves.
They never say that about the girl that Cliff was with. She saw the same guy, the same mask. They didn't put a policeman with her.
I don't know.
So it's inconsistent. But she just leaves. She can handle herself. Good day. And she leaves.
Then Kate calls the inspector on his private line, I assume.
It's his home phone. Yeah.
She says she needs to speak to him urgently. I guess his maid tells her that he goes to Parklands every month on this day.
Yeah. But not to tell anyone that she said that.
Then the Peep Show girl arrives back at the Peep Show. She's been talking to a customer on the phone and she realizes it's the killer because she sees his eyes. He breaks through the glass and she runs away. He chases her through the streets. He catches her and drags her down to a room where he chains her up, Karen.
It was weird. I couldn't tell where he was taking her.
He vows to come back and kill her.
Yeah, that.
Back to Scotland Yard. Apparently now they're holding Cliff because there's been another killing. They're questioning him and then they release him.
And Powell thinks he knows who the killer is.
Then we see a Santa looking for a party, I wrote.
Yeah, we're in Piccadilly now.
And he's chased by the killer. He ends up in a club where...
He's another drunk Santa. He's drunk, yeah.
And he ends up in a club where Caroline Munro is performing.
Yeah, they do say Miss Munro and the band, This Is Your Call. You were right. I just didn't put it together.
So then Caroline makes her way to the stage where she performs.
Where she shakes her ass is what I wrote.
She sings and dances.
She is very 80s hair.
Beautifully.
All of a sudden, the Santa that's backstage seems very sober.
I don't know why she didn't have the same success as Madonna, Karen.
It's a mystery, Greg. It's a mystery.
Or Whitney Houston. Whatever. But whatever.
It wasn't terrible. It's like, though, they said, hey, Caroline Munro says she'll be in this movie, but if she is, she has to sing her musical number. Like that's because what else is the point? It's like, okay, well, I guess we'll do a backstage Santa.
Yep. So good for you, Caroline Munro. Probably sold a few singles.
Maybe.
Then we got a dead Santa I wrote coming up through the floor.
I said way too long with the song.
Then Sergeant Powell goes to see Kate.
Well, no. So wait, go back. So I said way too long with the song, and all the weapons look fake. All of them do that are used in this thing. And then they pull off a big knife. And I said, oh, is his head going to roll onto the stage? Because I thought that's what was going to happen. But they didn't. They're like, activate the trap door. For what reason? She's already on stage. And what comes up through the trap door is the dead Santa with a cleaver in his face.
Comes up through the trap door. Yep.
And she screams. So it's weird.
And Sergeant Powell goes to see Kate. Kate begins to push shade on Inspector Harris again, as Giles
he goes to
too.
The lunatic asylum, and there's no records of him anywhere, so he doesn't exist.
Parkland's a lunatic asylum.
Yes. Powell doesn't believe it.
He doesn't believe her, no.
Going down the wrong road. And she does say Cliff was standing right next to her when her father was killed, which is true. He was. Doesn't mean he couldn't have paid someone to do it, but it's highly unlikely it was him. You don't make a lot as a flautist in the subway.
Then we have a Santa going to the bathroom.
She goes to Parkland's mental hospital, and she gets called in to see a doctor.
And then we have a Santa in the bathroom.
Yes.
And someone enters with a straight razor. There's blood and...
Yes. So he's using the urinal. Someone comes up behind him, and he's not using the urinal anymore. So that was pretty brutal. But what was in there, that's pretty brutal. Although, people survive that, as we well know from...
You think did he cut off his... Okay.
Yeah. But even more disturbing than that, which is pretty disturbing, in that bathroom were those old towels that we used to have. Before there were paper towels in the bathrooms, there were just these towels.
One long cloth.
Like circular towel. It kept going around.
Yeah.
And you just wiped your hands or your mouth. It was so unsanitary. And we just used them because that's what
you don't know how far it's wound up in there.
No, it's
I'm
one.
Sure. No, I'm sure it's wound up in there. So
I get, but it kept, but it went.
When you get to the end, it stops, I'm sure, so you don't reuse any of it.
I don't know. All right.
Oh, I'm the eternal optimist, Karen.
Yes, you are. Not in those bathrooms, the kind he was in. But yes, he loses his member, which is so it's another different kill. We've got a cleaver to the face, dismemberment. We got them all.
So then Kate goes to see Inspector Harris, and he puts a record on.
I think...
And he gets her a drink.
This is where she's trying to get information from him. So she's pretending that she likes him and wants to get to know him. Yeah, because she was just talking to Powell about how he doesn't exist. She doesn't trust him. And he says, you're wrong.
Yeah.
So she's trying to find out who he is.
And he tells her that he has been suspended. And she tells him that Cliff is becoming obsessed with the case, apparently. Then they go to dinner.
Yes, and order turkey with all the trimmings. And then Cliff shows up at the restaurant for no reason. Cliff arrives. But she asks him his name. She says, I've told you my name. I don't know your name. And he says his name is Ian.
But Cliff is not dressed to enter the restaurant, so he's escorted out.
But I don't know why he was even there. It's weird.
So then Giles arrives at Kate's apartment.
Just walks in her apartment. He was let in by someone.
And she tells him she knows that Inspector Harris is his brother.
Yes, she's been putting the pieces together.
And right here, Giles reveals himself to be the killer. He's basically messing with his brother.
Yes,
that's what this is all about.
I thought I'd give him a real case to work on. And she says, you killed my father.
Yeah, so I guess we are 3/4 of the way through.
He says, yes, it wasn't unfortunate, but he reminded me of Christmas time. And earlier, Kate had called Powell and left a message and said, please call me. So he now calls her. The phone's
He does.
ringing.
She goes to answer the phone and is strangled.
But then there's blood. I don't know why. He strangles her with some tinsel. Like, what do you call it?
I thought it was the phone cord. I didn't know.
No, it was the tinsel from the lamp that was there. Like a, can't think of what you call it, but a rope made of tinsel.
Okay.
There's a word for it that escapes me because I'm 100.
Then the police arrive and find Kate dead.
See, that surprised me. I thought she would be, I thought she'd be the final girl.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised to myself as I'm reading it.
Oh, yeah, Kate died.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She died. And Sergeant Powell calls into Scotland Yard and he learns that Inspector Harris has been in his apartment the whole time.
So it can't be him. But another question I had was, so Inspector Harris goes to the asylum once a month, assuming his brother is there, visits his brother or talk. So his brother would not have been there the last time he visited because all these killings are going on.
We don't know.
Right?
He could have been there last time we saw him. This could be happening.
No, he was just
days.
there. No, the maid
that's right.
told him. She said, this is the day he goes. So he would have known, unless his brother is escaping.
Unless the brother went back.
Yeah, or something. Then he would, I guess, but it's just, to me, I'm like, he would have known his brother was out and about.
So then we have Detective Powell looking through, I wrote a parking garage. I didn't know. It was a bunch of cars, right?
I couldn't tell if it was a junkyard or a parking. I didn't know what it was.
Giles watches him, right? And then he touches a car that is wired and he's electrocuted.
Well, that is what happened. But during this sequence is the nice shadow work. So they're in some sort of parking lot, garage, junkyard, something. There's a bunch of cars, and you do see some nice shadow work with the inspector's hat and Giles going through different areas. He hides in a car, he gets out of the car, then he goes to another section, and then you're right, he puts jumper cables somehow onto the car, and when the inspector touches it, he's gone. I said, he runs out of the parking garage. What is it? Where are they?
Then we see Giles. He brings the peep show girl something to eat, like a pear or something.
Yeah. And he says, I'll undo your hands if you promise not to try to escape. And they literally show her cross her fingers and say, I won't try to escape, which was so
true.
It was like, why? Okay.
They do.
And he tells her he hates Christmas.
It's Christmas. The girl starts talking about Christmas memories, and she grabs a log or something and hits him with it.
Well, he's freaking out because she's like, don't you remember, I don't know, ice skating, the tinsel, the gingerbread man. He's like, stop it. He starts freaking. And she picks up like a 2x4 or a 4x8 or something that's there and smacks him over the head and runs out.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well,
it's a 4x8.
But it's thick. It's not a 2x4. It's like thicker.
It's a 4x8.
Whatever. She smacks him. It's a board.
Hits him with it, tries to escape, but she can't.
She goes, where's the key? She asks him. She's trying to get out of the murderer's house. Where's the key? And he shows her. He gives it to her.
Throws the chains at him, right?
Well, he says, leaves. Here's the key. And then she does throw chains at him and he grabs the key. So she gets out of the apartment and runs. What does she do?
She runs upstairs, Karen.
You know how much I love it when they run upstairs.
She climbs up the stairs, followed by Giles. She reaches a dead end.
She does at one point huff and puff, that's what would happen if you were running. It's one of those buildings that has the stairwell going all the way up and you can see down the middle, which are always in the movies. And I don't think I've ever seen a building like that in person. Not very often. But does no one else live in there? Like, she's not pounding on doors. She's just going all the way up. And she does end up pounding on some doors, but nobody answers. So she's at the top.
But she's cornered and she is able to force him over the banister, causing him to fall several stories to his death. He gone. But she does go down to be sure he is dead.
And is he? We don't know. I don't think so.
But then he pops up and starts to strangle her. And then we have flashbacks
which is
to
actually
Christmas.
Professor Powell dreaming. So I don't know if he was dreaming about that or what.
Well, it's Giles as a boy, and it's Christmas, and he finds his father in a Santa suit cheating on his mother. Dad pushes mom away, and she falls down the stairs. But then we see Harris, not Powell, Harris. Harris wakes from a nightmare.
Yes, did I say Powell? Sorry.
Yes, who is Giles' brother. So that would make sense that he would know this happened. And he smokes a Marlboro and goes into his living room. And then he begins to unwrap the present that he received earlier, which said, "Do not open till Christmas." It is a music box, Karen. He opens it and listens to it playing music.
And he knows it says a present from your loving brother. And Santa's spinning around in it.
Santa. And then it explodes, Karen.
Takes out you see a little bit of damage to his skin, and that's it.
Here you go.
I did not expect that.
Credits, the end. Well, you can say you've seen the film, Karen.
Yes, I can.
All right. What'd you think of the bad Santa?
It's a good drink. I like it.
Mine is evaporated.
Well, I should have put ice in mine, but it's good.
Yeah, I almost like these winter cocktails as much as I like Lanai drinks.
These particular ones.
These creamy winter cocktails, yes. They are delicious. Anything we learned today, Karen?
What did we learned a little bit about Scotland Yard, what it takes to be a serial killer.
What it takes to be a serial killer?
And the German Shepherd dog.
Do you have what it takes to be a serial killer, boys and girls?
I don't.
Oh, it only takes one bad day, Karen.
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't. Then I told you it has to be over a long period of time.
Oh, does it? Okay. I think that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of stuff this time.
All right. Anything else? Are you ready to go on to the next film, Karen?
I'm a little worried about this one.
Oh, it's your choice, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
What film have you chosen for us next week, Karen?
Have chosen the 1997 movie Jack Frost.
Not to be confused with the 1998 film of the same name, correct?
Definitely not.
Any reason you chose this film, Karen? Other than it stars Shannon Elizabeth?
It was just a January frosty film. That's the only reason I chose it.
This will be our first Shannon Elizabeth film. I hope to have more. We'll see.
I think we see a lot of Shannon Elizabeth in this
Do
film.
we?
I think so.
Oh, awesome. Can't wait. So why'd you choose it? Because
It's just
winter?
Yes, that's the only reason.
Okay. A winter film.
I was looking for something different, but I'm concerned after just looking up the tiny bit that I did about it to try to find a drink, because we already have in our recipe den a Jack Frost cocktail.
So what drink have you chosen for us? Do we have a drink?
Yes, I've chosen a very decadent drink called the Dirty Snowman.
Ooh, decadent.
It's an adult hot chocolate recipe.
Sounds delicious already. The Dirty Snowman. What are we going to need?
Vanilla ice cream, Kahlua, dark cream to cacao.
Oh, I got to get dark cream to cacao now? All right.
And 1 cup of hot chocolate. So you're adding it all to hot chocolate.
Okay.
It's basically fancy hot chocolate. I'm sure if you can't have ice cream, you can use cream because it's going to melt in the hot chocolate anyway.
This was Shannon Elizabeth's first film.
I'm surprised she got more jobs.
Oh my God. She's got a ton more jobs after this. Have you seen it before or something?
No.
Oh, so you're just throwing shade on Shannon Elizabeth?
I saw there's a famous scene in it, I guess.
Oh, is there? Okay.
But no, I've never seen it.
All right. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
I'm going to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Thank you for spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Well, I need to thank Jeff Bach and Akash Sharma. Akash Sharma? Sorry if I butchered your name. For subscribing to our YouTube channel, Karen.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
And also the band Verse 13 for providing all of the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to the Scary Spirits podcast, where the movies might be iffy, but the drinks are always solid. We would love to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast, or go to our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want the direct line, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. If you really want to help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And remember, always drink responsibly. See you next week.